Welcome back to Cheep Games, the show where we talk about great games for great prices. When I was a young lad, I never owned an original Xbox. Microsoft was new to the console game, so I was a bit hesitant to buy in. But there was one game that I always wished I could play, and it was actually developed by my lost love Sega. And that game was the spectacularly stylish Jet Set Radio Future. An inline skating and graffiti hybrid that is an essential for Xbox owners, and one you can still pick up without spending too much cash. Let's check it out. Jet Set Radio Future was released in 2002 as an Xbox exclusive. This was the second game in the series, with the original Jet Grind Radio seeing its home on the Sega Dreamcast. But after Sega bowed out from the console game, they went third party and brought their IPs to all their former competitors. Future was sort of a reimagining of the first game with a similar story, environments, and characters, but there were enough differences and additions to call it a true sequel. The game follows a gang of inline skaters called the GGs, as they have turf wars with other rival gangs. Now when you think gangs, you must be thinking there's some pretty tough customers, but all the gangs here in Tokyo-to seem to solve their differences by simply having races or trick contests. It's quite civil, really. The GGs are also caught up in a battle with crooked cops and a mega corporation who controls the city and wants to destroy freedom of expression. With a task that big, the gang should have some pretty extraordinary weapons, right? Actually, they're only armed with cans of spray paint and their sick inline skates. You have a few characters to choose from at the start of the game, but you can unlock a lot of others who have their own different stats as well as their own unique style. One of the first things you'll notice is that the focus is not really about doing tricks. In fact, each character has a limited amount, especially if you compare it to games like Aggressive Inline or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Your main objectives are typically to tag over rival gangs' graffiti with your own, participate in races, or to mimic an opponent's trick line. The controls are really simple, with a button to jump, one to trick, and another one to spray your graffiti. Jumping is especially floaty, and it can catch new players by surprise, but it lets you catch some serious air and cross huge gaps. When you jump onto a rail, you can perform a grind, and it will help you get places faster. And forget about the laws of physics, because here you can even grind up 90-degree angles. It's awesome! Littered throughout the stages are cans of spray paint, which are your ammunition for tagging, and you can hold up to 30. If you have more than 10 cans, you can do a jet boost to send your character speeding across the streets. Each level will have certain spots you need to tag, and you can view them on your map. Get to the location and spray away to complete a level. And unlike its predecessor, here all the levels are interconnected, which makes it actually feel like a city with traffic and people walking around. Skating through crowds will send people running in every direction as they shout at the reckless skaters. Boy, does it remind me of my youth. There are no longer time limits, which I really like, because now you don't have to rush around and you can explore these large levels at your own pace. Surprisingly enough, there are even boss battles. The leader of the cops will often send hordes of minions out to stop you from tagging the town. Sometimes they'll even personally come to attack you with guns, choppers, and other types of mechanical weaponry. All you need to do is spray some paint on the baddies to blind them, and this will somehow make them explode. Graffiti is a central theme, so what kind of game would this be if it didn't give you cool looking options? Each level has secret graffiti souls to collect, and this will increase the amount of designs you can tag with. You can even design your own works of art in the graffiti editor, and then you can spray your work all over Tokyo. But if you're like me and you suck at art, this might not get too much playtime. But for those artists out there, it's a nice addition, and I'm sure you can make some awesome stuff. Around the time this game came out, a lot of other games were doing a similar graphical style with cel shading. Jet Set Radio Future looks fantastic even 15 years later, and the cel shading is a perfect fit for the graffiti motif. I've always really loved this style. The character design is highly original, and it gives the game a futuristic feeling with the way each character is dressed. Yep, the gameplay and graphics are downright fun at every level, but yet they are still eclipsed by the amazing soundtrack. The music is what ties the whole atmosphere together, featuring an eclectic mix of genres. There's punk, hip-hop, J-pop, electronic, and funk all thrown into a pot and cooking up an underground inline skating stew. It's so impressive that all this variety can meld together and fit the game's tone so well. Listening to any track in the game will leave it stuck in my head for the next few hours. What adds to the authenticity of the underground feel is that you get to know the DJ spinning the tracks. Professor K is not only the DJ, but he also provides you intel on the goings-on in Tokyo via the pirate radio station Jet Set Radio. Jet Set Radio Future and the original have a small devout following of fans, and it's easy to see how this game influenced others like Sunset Overdrive, Splatoon, and Hover: Revolt of Gamers. It's a shame how this game never saw another sequel, but it's an inexpensive cult classic you don't want to miss out on. If you're a fan of outrageous arcade-style games that you can pick up and play anytime, then make room in your collection for Jet Set Radio Future. Prices currently range from about $15 to $25, and it's definitely worth it. But wait a second, this is Cheep Games. We like our games under 10 bucks. So if you really want to save some cash, Jet Set Radio Future came on a split CD with Sega GT Racing, and that edition of the game can be found for well under $10, and I picked up mine for $3. Steal of the Century. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time, and remember, it's all fun and games. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked that video, why not check out some more episodes of Cheep Games by clicking the playlist down below. If you really like It's All Fun and Games, then don't forget to subscribe so you can get updates when a new video drops. Thanks again.